10 Fujifilm firmware improvements I want. Well, hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. Today we are talking about Fujifilm firmware updates, and 10 of them that I think would really improve the cameras. So number 1 on the list, and listen, Fuji, if this was all you did, then that's fine, okay? Number 1 is better autofocus. That is the holy grail of firmware updates. That would be number 1 on my list, and I guarantee you a lot of other people's lists as well. So number 2 is the Q button and using it more often as a contextual help resource. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say you have your Fujifilm camera switched into movie mode and you go into your menu, and let's just go ahead and pick a setting that a lot of people have trouble with right here, okay? You see all this gobbledygook in the center in this scrolling list? I have a whole video coming on this stuff, okay? It's coming. So when you arrive at a setting or a series of settings in your camera's menu that you don't understand at all, it would be helpful to have help right there front and center. And the funny thing about it is that Fuji already does this. Watch what happens when I'm in this complicated menu and I press the Q button. Have a look at this right here. You see that? And you can use the D-pad or the joystick to scroll down. Now, this is certainly no Wikipedia, okay? I mean, I have to say it could use a little editing and some polish. So a really good firmware update would be twofold. First, go through all of the menu settings. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work, Fuji. Go through all of the menu settings, but I mean, at least start with the most complicated ones and add it to this Q button, this contextual help. And unlike some fancy autofocus algorithm or AI stuff, it can be ported, I think, into very old Fujifilm cameras if needed. Number 3 is a really helpful tool for video. There's 2 primary video modes on this camera. One is what I call normal video, with audio and normal frame rates and all that good stuff. And then the other is high-speed record. And when you're shooting with that, you will not get any audio. And sometimes people will make mistakes and they'll pick that one. They'll go out and they'll shoot something, but they won't have any audio. I'm gonna go ahead right now and start shooting some video. And it's pretty obvious I'm shooting video with this beautiful red border. I love this thing. This should be on every Fujifilm camera that records video. Now, let's look at high speed. If your camera supports it, you go into high speed record. Here we go. And recording. Have a look at this color. You see that? And I think that's a firmware update that would be awesome to bring to as many cameras as possible. Number 4 on my list is actually not an improvement per se or a setting change, but a way to make something a lot more understandable that is really confusing people. If your camera supports IS mode boost, okay, here it is right here. I go in it, right? I click into it and it's still highlighted off, okay? And I go, oh, suitable for, what does it say here? Suitable for shooting with panning, tilting, and tracking subjects. Oh, and so in my brain, the contextual help is right here front and center. Right when I dropped into IS mode boost, I'm thinking that IS mode boost is suitable for shooting with panning, tilting, and tracking subjects, except it's not. It is the opposite. And if you put it on, okay, the help changes. And now it says suitable for static handheld shooting. IS mode boost is actually a great setting, okay? And when you have it on, right, like just like that, if you're standing like a tripod or a tree or a statue, that's what it's for. It is not for doing this and thinking you're Fellini walking around. That is not what it's for, okay? So Fuji, maybe combine both of those things into like one 2-sentence thing, stick it at the bottom, and don't have it change from off to on. Okay, tip number 5 is also for video, and this one I'm puzzled about. I have a theory on it though. Once again, if you have your camera set to movie mode and you go into your movie setting menu, you will notice that right here, F-Log, this is the area of your Fujifilm movie settings menu that you would select and choose F-Log. Fujifilm removed a feature, and this camera is better than this camera with regard to this feature I'm going to tell you. In the X-T3, let's go back to that same setting. Check this out. Look at how you have options I can record normal movie footage with film simulation right to my SD card, while at the same time recording F-Log footage out through HDMI. That is really nice, especially for people who are learning F-Log and all that sort of thing. They don't want to necessarily take quite a gamble or a chance and only have it in F-Log, so they have a choice. But for some reason, they took it away from the Fujifilm X-T5 camera, because the X-T4 even has it. So that is on my wish list as number 5. So number 6, all Fujifilm cameras that have a joystick. For a firmware update, here's my idea. I would like to see a third option added to that menu for double clicking the focus joystick. If I go to double tap it like this, boom, boom, I should be able to assign a custom feature to that. Maybe they do this already, but it just came to me. I think it's a great idea, which is why I have it at number 6. Now for my number 7 firmware improvement wish, there are 2 important autofocus settings that I think get lost. And going into AF/MF, you have the 2 big ones right here, face eye detection and subject detection. Okay, subject detection setting. And that's a big one for Fujifilm, because this is where they have added all of these various AI algorithms to have better autofocus tracking for these type of subjects. 2 problems here that I think need to be fixed with a firmware update. The first is that there are 2 items actually missing from here: insects and drones. They have an ability for those photographers that want to have autofocus subject detection for insects. Is it animal? Maybe it is. What about an insect that flies like a drone? Is that bird? You see the problem with this setup? So the easiest update would be to simply add 2 extra options here, drone and insect. Or if they plan on adding a lot more options, which would be great, then you can have submenus. So you would have, airplane, or call it things that fly, right? And then it would go to a submenu. The bigger problem, autofocus subject detection, where is the setting for people, right? Not face, not eye, people. You have motorcycle and bike broken out from automobile, yet none of these subjects include people. So I look at this and I go, oh, I don't know. I guess they don't have one. And then I go back and I go, well, there's face detection, but you're not always wanting to track the face. What if you're at a park and a couple of kids are playing a game and they're running around and you're really kind of far off and you don't necessarily want to track their eye? I think it would be really helpful to have human as a subject detection choice. And then perhaps you could still have this separate, more detailed face eye, but that's just part of a human, right? And another thing, and this gets back to what I said earlier, the Q button. If I press the Q button right here, right now, okay, I should get a contextual menu that comes up and says, animal includes cheetahs, zebras, lions, dogs, cats up to 30 pounds, something like that. So the whole thing with subject detection and humans versus animal, I think it can be clarified much better in here. And I hope that can be a firmware update. So for the next one, I would recommend, and I think Fuji's already doing this, so oops. I want a firmware update where I can plug in a high-speed USB-C cable into the Fujifilm camera and then plug the other end of it into either a smartphone, a tablet, computer, and just start transferring at high speeds. That's it. I don't want to create an image transfer order. I'm not even going to explain what that is. I want to plug this in to a laptop, drag and drop, and I want the laptop to recognize it as a drive and be all good. It can, but there's limitations to it with the app. A firmware update to be able to handle the current highest speed, obviously, that the port can allow on the camera. I think that's in the works, actually. Of all the stuff I've talked about today, that's probably the one that's coming. Okay, so for number 9 on my list of firmware improvements I would hope one day could come to some more cameras, and that is zone custom setting. It's already on a few cameras like the newer Fujifilm models. And what's great about it is you can customize the size and the shape of your AFC focus square, rectangle, whatever you want to create it into. It's a suggestion. And finally, number 10, if you want to use the self timer. 2 choices, 2 seconds or 10. But when you switch the camera over to movie mode and you go into the movie settings and into the same self timer setting, you have a choice of 3, 5, or 10. There is a difference for me, at least, between 2 seconds and 5 seconds, right? So if I want to take a shot, I press the shutter release button, and usually my clumsy, stupid fingers cause the camera to shake a little, or it just shakes naturally on a tripod, whatever. 2 seconds isn't always quite enough time, I've noticed, to fix all that out and have it be just completely motionless. And you need to be motionless, especially if you're using that pixel shift multi-shot. 5 seconds is nice because it's not 10, you know, you're just sitting there waiting for 10, but it's better than 2. Why not just add that in? You already have it. You've got it programmed into the camera. Just switch it over to stills mode and just give another choice. I mean, why not? That's my 10th and final suggestion for firmware update. I'm going to say it again. Throw everything I said out. Focus on fixing and improving autofocus, okay, first and foremost. And if you have time and resources, then get to the other stuff. Please put your suggestions in the comments down below. These were just some fun ones I came up with. Don't take them too seriously. Well, look at that. I lost the ending to the video I just made, so I had to come back in here and shoot the final summary and the goodbye. I found out that I had lost just about 1.6 terabytes. That's terabytes with a T of footage that I had shot, and I recorded a video. Very tired, very frustrated when I had been working on recovering the data, trying to figure out why the data got lost, how I lost all my footage. And I published this special behind the scenes video for my Backstage members, paldetech.com/backstage. Anyhow, that's where I gripe about stuff like this normally and share what goes on behind the scenes at this channel. So what I want to do right now is I want to show you a clip, not the entire thing, but a part of the actual clip that I provided to my Backstage members 24 hours ago. And there's a reason I want you to see that. So let's watch the clip right now, and I'll be back in just a sec to discuss it. Paldetech here. It's 2:30 or so in the morning. Today's video was supposed to be the Fujifilm comprehensive video setup guide where I go through everything video on the X-T5. Went on location, spent the last couple of weeks shooting all the footage. A lot of work was put into it. Then I went into the studio. I shot the entire studio segment, which took me about 8.5 hours, believe it or not, of shooting time. So all of that effort gone, or at least there's a chance I might get it back. Anyway, it was on one of these. My system is set up so that when I have an SSD plugged in with footage that I shot, it automatically backs it up 2 different places. The first is a RAID Synology network drive, and then the other is Backblaze. It failed on both. With regard to backing up on the network, it was failing for the last 2 weeks, and I didn't know it. What was happening was some stupid stupid security file permissions nonsense refused to allow, my Mac, which I bought and paid for and own, to save a video file on the Synology, which I bought and paid for and own. So I don't have enough permissions. My computer doesn't have enough permissions. I checked Backblaze. The one SSD that had this footage, it showed 0 bytes for it. It wasn't backing up onto Backblaze. I don't know the reason. So what was I left with, right? The actual SSD itself. Earlier today, I was in a rush. I wasn't thinking. And the video is called X-T5 Video Setup Guide. I recently made a video called X-T50 Setup Guide. And what happened was earlier today, I deleted from the SSD. I was scanning. I wasn't paying attention. I saw XT and the number 5. I saw a setup. I saw a guide. I deleted it from the SSD. Gone. All 3 fail-safe ways. So I'm using a program called Disk Drill. You can see right here what's happening exactly. Now, this is good news. We got 49 out of 81 files, 1.61 terabytes. This should never have happened. This is a backup situation that should have never happened. If at least one of you tells me that this video I'm doing right now helps you in some way in the future, think about data, think about how important it is not to be like me, then this was all worth it. It was a success and I'm happy. I'll be good. Even if you have 3 separate backup paths, right? One was local, one was network for me, and then offsite was Backblaze, which normally they're great. I don't know what the hell happened. Trust, but verify. It is easier to find the lost ark than it is to find a piece of software that works reliably most of the time. That's what I'm finding. So just assume it doesn't. Assume you always have to check. Okay, so you've seen that clip now, and I want to give a quick update to this. I was able to recover almost all the footage. There were a number of scenes that I lost that I shot on location that are gone for good. And I also lost the ending to the video you just watched, on the firmware wish list updates that I just made. So that's why I'm reshooting it. The second thing I want to say is that when you see me or any YouTuber, after a while, you kind of assume that they know what they're doing, that they know what they're talking about, that they're an expert in the field. I'm far from an expert, and I should have never lost that footage. Ever. That should have never happened. I'm just some person that switched on the camera and started talking. That's it. And I screw up. And it's okay. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I know that for a number of you, you've had that also happen. You've gone out, you've shot photos, you've come back, you realized you had the setting wrong and all of them are blurry. Everybody makes these mistakes. And if you do too, good for you. It's a learning process. That's my point. You're not born knowing this. And if you're starting your photography journey and you're looking at these YouTubers going, oh man, I'll never get to that point. And if you elevate me or you think that, oh, wow, Paladin Tech, he knows what he's talking about. If you think that, I'm going to ban you from the channel for good. You're going to be banned. Okay. So don't think that. What you need to do is put in the hours. Keep shooting, keep taking photos. If you're into video, keep filming because you will screw up. I screw up. Everybody screws up. But you learn from it. Everyone makes mistakes. It's a journey. It's a journey. Either way, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I know I will. And I'll see you in a new video next week. Take care. I gotta admit, I feel pretty stupid today, whatever it is. But I'll get over it. Worst case scenario, if I've lost the footage, if I'm not able to recover it, at least I have this lesson. At least we had this time together. I'll see you soon. Take care. So long from Crazy Town. Bye-bye.